This right here is where AI becomes more than just a chatbot. Because instead of asking AI questions one prompt at a time, imagine it can actually receive information, think through it, make decisions, and then operate entire workflows completely automatically. Now in this video, we're going to be building an AI agent in N8N that can qualify leads completely autonomously. It can analyze inquiries, determine which leads are worth prioritizing, explain its reasoning, organize the data, and trigger actions instantly. But here's the important part. This isn't really just about lead generation or lead qualification. This is about understanding how modern AI systems are actually built. Because once you understand this framework, you can apply it to almost any area of business, productivity, or even your everyday personal life. So let me show you how it works. People are still approaching AI completely wrong. They open up ChatGPT, type up a prompt, get a response, and that's where the interaction ends. But the shift happening right now is that AI is moving from just being a tool to becoming an actual system layer within businesses and workflows. Instead of just replying to prompts, it can now gather information automatically, analyze it, make decisions based on logic, structure its outputs, and trigger actions completely on its own. And this is where things start becoming incredibly powerful. Because when you combine large language models with automations and workflows, you're no longer just using AI. You're creating systems that can actually operate. And honestly, this is where I think a lot of people are underestimating where AI is heading. The individuals and businesses that learn how to build these systems early are going to have a massive advantage over the next few years. So in this video, I want to show you a practical example of what this actually looks like. We're going to be building an AI lead qualification agent in N8N. This system will take incoming inquiries, analyze that lead, extract the key information, determine how valuable that lead actually is, and then automatically organize everything into a CRM. But most importantly, I want you to pay close attention to the architecture behind this workflow. Because once you understand the framework, you can adapt the exact same concept into things such as AI assistants, customer support systems, research agents, productivity workflows, and pretty much any process where you need to analyze information before an action is taken. Okay, so now let's get straight into this tutorial. So first thing we're doing is going onto our browser, searching up N8N. And now, if you don't have an account, you'll just need to sign in with your email. And then once you've done that, you'll end up at the home page here. Now, obviously you won't have all these if you have a new account, but you'll go up to the top right-hand corner, create new workflow, and here we are at the blank canvas. Now, to get the workflow started, we need a trigger. So the trigger that we're going to use in this case will be a on-form submission trigger. And that's just like a contact form or like a, just a web form submission. So we'll title it as contact us. Description, what do you need? Okay, add form element, we'll go name, full name. Now you can put placeholders in, John Johnson, can be an example, email, placeholder, jj@gmail.com, add form element. It will be the company URL, and then we'll make that a required field. Could be john.com. Again, placeholders don't matter too much. You can make them more professional looking if you're doing this for real. And then finally, we need inquiry. What do you need from us? Okay, so now to test that out, we can just press execute step. And as I said before, there is a web form. So if you fill out the data, Wolfam, company URL, we'll just put a fake one in for now. It's not even a fake one, it's just letters. And then inquiry, I need some help with marketing. submit. Okay, we can close this. And then if we go back to the workflow on the right-hand side, you can see all that data we just filled out is there. Okay, and now what we're going to do, we're going to get that data, the company URL in particular, and we're going to scrape that company website. Now there's two ways you can do it. You can do it through another app called Relevance AI, which is the way I like to do it because I think it gives you just a more comprehensive overview of the company website. You can do it in here called, it's called Firecrawl, and they have inbuilt, functions, but for example, for this one, we'd say crawl a website or scrape the website. But I just don't think it's not as good, in my opinion, or at least when I've tested it out, it just hasn't been as good as Relevance AI. But I'll show you how to do relevance anyways, because it's also a good skill to have. So if we go up to our search bar, search in Relevance AI. Now again, if you might need to sign in if you haven't used this app before, but just sign in with your email and you'll end up at the home page once again. And here we are. Okay, so we're going to go, this is a tool page, you'll find the home page here. We'll click on tools, click default, which means we're going to build it ourselves. And here we have the inputs. So first we'll write a title. This is the company website summarizer. Short description. This will take a company's website and summarize its contents. Okay, inputs. It's a text input. It's going to be company URL. This is the company URL that we have that needs to be scraped. Okay, and then text. This is the variable name for the company URL, which we'll need further down the line. So make sure you're naming, whenever we're naming variables, make sure they're really clear so that you don't get confused, because sometimes you'll find cases that variables will be similar in name and it could get confusing. So in this case it's fine, but in future when you're building different sites, or tools rather, and workflows, make sure you name your variables carefully. Anyways, those are our inputs. Our first step is going to be, again, Firecrawl, the website scraper. Here we go. So for this URL, this is going to be the company URL that we're going to put into it. We'll uncheck scrape only. Scrape only is like, it will only scrape the page that we give it through the URL, but this software in particular can actually crawl through the website and go to all the sub pages, such as like the about page and the services page and the contact us page, all that stuff it can go through. Anyways, you'll need an API key. And to do that, we'll go to firecrawl.dev. There is a free plan, but eventually you will need to pay. So just sign up and you can start using it for free. And if you look down here to the right, you have your API key. All you need to do, copy that, come back over to Relevance, paste that in, and then forget these for now. Number of pages to crawl, we'll just go 5 for now. It's not too big of a deal, but 5 should be fine. Then our next step is going to be the LLM tool. An LLM. Okay, write a prompt. So I prepared a prompt earlier. So you are a website information summarizer. Your job is to summarize the main points of a business website from the given scraped data. You'll then have to write a 300-word report about the business, what they do, and their services. This report will then be fed into another LLM so that it can be used to help qualify leads for a business. You must include name of the business, overview of the business, the services that they offer, where they are based, and then I said some nice to includes, which is if this information is available, but the size of the business, business visions and goals, and the business reputation. You must stick to a limit of 300 words or less. It must be formatted in a clear, natural language and structured way so that another LLM will be able to use it to input its data. Here is the data you'll have to summarize. Now, if we put the 2 curly brackets in, we'll find all our variables, and here is the Firecrawl website variables. We'll put in the data, and that's it there. Now, we'll need to press the we need to pick the model. And for this, look, and for the sake of the tutorial, I'm just going to use ChatGPT 4o mini, which is one of the cheapest models. But honestly, for what it is, like, I think it's more than enough to be able to do the task that we're asking it for. And you'll see that in a second. Anyways, once we pick that, you will need to put in your OpenAI API key into Relevance AI. So if you don't know how to do that, you just need to go over, search up OpenAI platform. Again, you might need to make an account if you don't have one already. And you also, in this case, you might need to load up some credits or money into your account so that you can be using it. But again, if you're using ChatGPT 4o mini, it's super, super cheap. So don't worry about spending too much money there. Anyways, if you go on the left-hand side, API keys, create new key. We'll just call it Relevance AI tutorial. Create the key. And then you'll copy this, click done, go back over, click the settings page, and we'll scroll down to OpenAI. Where's OpenAI? Okay, in my case, I'll get rid of that actually, put this one in and save it. And now Relevance AI is hooked up to OpenAI. Yeah, should all be set up. So now we can test this tool. If we go up, just search up, let's just say London Plumbing Services. Click this first one just to get the URL. Decides to load. And we'll get that URL, bring it back over to Relevance, put it in there, and then we'll run tool and see what it does. So now it's getting that information from the website. It might take a few seconds. Okay, perfect. So now it got that website information. Now it plugged it into the LLM along with the prompt, and it should spit out an output in a few seconds as well. Okay, and perfect. And there you go. We have our output. It's a business overview, has name of the business, the overview, services offered, location, size of business, business visions and goals, and business reputation. So that is exactly what we wanted. Now, we have to click save. Save step. Actually, we'll delete this first because we won't be using that. Oops. Delete that. Now, if we click save, tool successfully saved. If we also click publish, and just to make sure, if we click share, public available link, make it publicly available, and then click save. I need to click publish again. Okay, now if we go down to use, over to API, then we can put that back into N8N. So in N8N, we're going to get up a HTTP request node. Now there's two main types of requests. You can do a GET request or a POST request. I mean, there's many more, but those are the two most common ones. A GET is that we're going over the internet via API and getting information from a different source. Whereas a POST is we post information to a different website or application across the internet. It will do something with that data, and then it might spit something back out if we needed to. So in this case, because we're posting that URL that we get from the website, the web form, then we're going to post that to Relevance AI. So the URL, if we go back over, have this endpoint v2, copy that over, back into N8N, paste that in. Don't worry about authentication now. We need a send body though. Make sure it's JSON, and then using JSON. And then if we go back over here, we can copy this request body, go back over to N8N, paste it in. And then if we grab our company URL variable, stick it right in between the two exclamation marks. Okay, that didn't work there. Yeah, so in this case, the thing would break. It wouldn't work unless it's between these two quotation marks like it is now. And then we can execute this step to see if it works. So now it should be requesting that information across the internet via the API keys. It'll post that URL that we just sent it. It'll do all that stuff, scraping the website, putting it into the LLM, generating a report, and then it should end up here. Okay, and the reason why it gives us this answer is because we did not change the company URL. It's just a random thing. So if we go back over, we'll get this again, copy it. Now we can just go into here. Now you can redo the step if you want, or you can just press edit, and then you can get that out of here, delete, and paste in the actual link. All right, and then we click save. Now this time, if we go in here, if we execute the step again, it should work this time. And there you have it. In our output section, you can see it gives, obviously this is in markdown format, but it gives us the report. All right, so our next step along our workflow is to add a AI agent. But if we go down to OpenAI, then click message a model. First, we need to configure our credentials. So if we go back over to the platform, OpenAI platform, we can create another key. We'll do N8N tutorial. Okay, again, you can name these whatever you want. Just make sure you're naming it something that you know and can keep track of. Then if we head back over, click credential to connect. I'm going to create a new credential, paste that in, and save. And then it should. Connection tested successfully. That's great. And then we'll go message model from the list. Now we can pick, again, we'll pick 4.0 mini. It's more than enough to do the job. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, and now we need to give it a prompt. Again, I created one of these earlier just for the sake of time. Whoops, a bit too far. All right, we'll copy this over. Making an expression because we need to use variables, paste that in. Okay, so this a bit of prompt engineering comes into play, where we outline its role, its inputs, its tasks, and certain rules that it needs to abide by, as well as the end part, which is data, but we'll get to that in a second. Anyways, what I've said here, you are a lead qualification agent where you'll have to determine whether a lead is qualified to become a client for Willie's marketing agency. You'll be given a 300-word report about a company's website. That is not great grammar. Company's website that you need to use to qualify the lead. Your task. The business will be qualified a client based on the following criteria. The business must be a trade in the construction industry, e.g. plumbing, a concreter, an electrician, and they must be based out of the United Kingdom. With this information, you'll have to decide whether or not the lead matches with criteria. If you determine that the lead is qualified, then you must output qualified set to true, blah, 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 blah. You can read the rest if you need help prompting. And then rules, certain rules. Now, if we do data, make sure to get that HTTP request node, get your answer, paste it in, and that's the data that ChatGPT is now going to use to determine whether the lead qualifies or not. And then we can X out of that. Now, another really good option to do is if we go down to the bottom, add options, put in output format. This is what's going to get, this is going to make sure that ChatGPT outputs the correct information that we actually want to get. So output format type will be JSON schema. Now, it has one in there already, but usually you can just get ChatGPT to type you up a JSON schema. Just say something like, generate a JSON schema to output qualified as a Boolean value, and the reason as a string. Anyways, that's basically what Chat did for me. And here is a schema that we got from it. And you'll see how this works after I show you the output. Paste that in, and then we can go, now we can test it. So if we go execute step, and now we'll send it over to OpenAI, and we have an error, I think. We don't actually, no. So as you saw, qualified is set to true because this is a plumbing business and we need construction businesses. And also this was a plumbing business that is out of London. And one of our other criteria was that this business has to be based out of the UK. So it is set to true. There's our output. And this is what that JSON schema does basically. It gives us the exact output that we want. Qualified is a Boolean value, and then the reason is a string. So from there, we can now get it to do actions. For example, if we put an if node in there, so if qualified is equal to true, so if qualified is equal to true, then we can let's go to Google Sheets and append a row in Sheets. Okay, so first we need to get a Google credential. So if we go over to Google Cloud Console, down to Google Cloud, again, sign in with your Google account. Let's go to the console, please. Okay, you'll see this. If you've used it before, you might need to just change your project, create a new project. Otherwise, my first project is fine to leave it on. Then go down to APIs and services, credentials. And then we're going to create a new credential. An OAuth client ID. Application type is a web application. Name, we're going to name it N8N tutorial. And then we need this, but we can put it in later. Anyways, just click create for now. And then copy this client secret. Because after you click OK, you won't be able to access it again. Whoops. Now if we go back over, we can go here, create new credential, paste the client secret in. Now get this OAuth redirect URL, click to copy, go back over, go into your OAuth client credential. Once again, click add URI and paste that in. Then come back over, click save first of all. Now we get redirected back to the main page and we can click client ID, copy that over, back to N8N, paste that client ID in there, and then save. Now it might get us to sign in with Google, so we can do that quickly. So sign in with your Google account. Allow. Connection successful. We can close that and it will say account connected. Perfect. Then we can, make sure the operation is append row for this particular one. Okay, now we need to go to Google Sheets. We can get rid of that. We can get rid of that. Google Sheets. And we're just going to create a very basic CRM. So in our thing was name, we had email, company URL, and inquiry. Then grab that URL that you're in, go back to workflow, document, click by URL, paste that URL in, and then keep it as from list and it'll load sheet 1. Oops. Well, that's the thing that we just made, as you can see, sheet 1, and there you have it. There is our variables that we need. So if we go over to the on-form submission node again, we can just drag and drop these variables into their respective places, just like that. And then if we execute step, we can see that it has been inputted into our CRM here automatically. So that's what we want. Okay. So that would be what happens if the client is qualified. If the client is not qualified, we can send them an email. So if we get a Gmail node up, send a message. Okay, so I had to refilm this last section of the video because when I did it initially, my Gmail node just wasn't linking up to the API correctly. It might just have been something on my end, but it should work for you. However, if it doesn't, just let me know in the comments and I'll try to find a fix for you as soon as I can. Anyways, I'll show you the last part of the tutorial now. So you'll have your Gmail node down here. And again, if you need to get to there, just search up Gmail and there it is right there. Click on that and you'll come up with this. You'll go into it and make sure the operation is send first of all. You'll also need to connect your credentials again, just like you did with the Google Sheets node up there. And what you can do is if you remember or still have access to your client secret, if you had saved it from before, you can use that exact same client secret and exact same client ID and just paste them straight back into your credentials account. When you create a new credential, just put them back in and it'll all work perfectly fine. And don't worry about the OAuth redirect URL. It's the same as the Google Sheets one. Just in case you didn't have your client secret anymore, don't worry, because you can just come back down to your OAuth credentials and in your Google Cloud and you can create another secret. But make sure this one, save it somewhere secure, make sure no one sees it, but you can create another secret and then put it into your Gmail node and it should be working. From there, like I said, make sure the operation is send because we're going to be sending an email. Then after you do that, you can come down, make a subject line, write your message. Again, it might be more detailed than this, more professional looking, but this is just for the sake of the tutorial. And your email type, I usually stick to text over HTML. And that should work. So if we click, oh, and I forgot to mention also too, we're gonna get our client email off here and just drag and drop it. So if I delete this, we're just gonna drag and drop the email into this section. And so the client's email is who we're sending it to, of course. So we can go execute this step. The node has completed successfully. And if we go to my email, we can see that this has come through now as an automatic email. Anyways, then there you have it. Obviously, you can do a lot more functionality or add a lot more functionality to this workflow as you might please, and get it to do different sort of tasks after it's qualified the lead. But there's the workflow in essence. So if we go back to the start, we'll unpin this and we can execute the whole workflow to see if the whole thing works properly. So full name will fam. So if we go and get company URL again, we'll just do the London plumbing service. Get that URL, go back to your workflow or your contact us form rather, paste that in, inquiry, we need marketing. Oops. And then submit. Close that. And then the HTTP request will be running. Okay, and there you have it. It successfully executed the workflow. So we can see in the spreadsheet, it put me in once again, automatically. And obviously that was the pathway for if a lead is qualified. If they did not qualify, they would go down to the Gmail node and a message will be sent back to the client saying that they did not qualify. And there you have it. That's how you can build your lead qualification agent in N8N. Now, hopefully at this point, you can see that this workflow is actually much bigger than just lead qualification. Because the interesting part isn't the CRM or the automation itself. It's the decision-making layer right in the middle. Once AI can analyze information, follow a framework, and return a structured output, you can start applying this architecture to almost anything. For example, you could build a hiring assistant that screens job applications and ranks candidates automatically, or a customer support triage system, which detects urgency and routes tickets to the correct department. You could build research agents which analyze and summarize key insights, or even personal productivity systems which prioritize emails, tasks, and calendar events for you. And this is why I think learning workflow automation alongside AI is such a valuable skill. Because the people who can combine language models with systems and actions are going to be the ones who build genuinely useful applications over the next few years. Most people are still focused on prompting. And while that's still important, the real leverage comes from being able to build systems that can operate repeatedly and reliably without constant human input. And to be honest, we're still quite early, which means there's plenty of opportunity for people right now to start learning this stuff and getting ahead before this stuff becomes standard absolutely everywhere. So that's how you can build a lead qualification agent inside N8N. And once you understand how to combine inputs, context, reasoning, and actions all together, you can start building AI systems that actually operate and make decisions on your behalf. And I genuinely believe this is going to become one of the most valuable skill sets over the next few years to come. So if you want to learn the 5 most important AI skills in 2026, go check out my video here. Otherwise, if you enjoyed the video and want to keep learning about the AI industry and where you can implement AI into your business operations or even just your everyday life, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.